You've survived more than most people know, but survival isn't the same as freedom. The real trap is you not knowing that you are not a victim of your circumstances. You have been trapped into thinking and believing that what has happened to you is what is an identifier for you. You have been trapped into thinking that your past is your present and it is your future. And it is hindering the decisions that you're making, it's hindering the way you interact with people in relationships. It's hindering how you deal with your finances. It's hindering the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis. And the worst news of all is that you don't even see it. You have been in this mindset, this victim mindset for so long that you have taken it on as part of your identity. It has been an identifying factor in everything that you have done. But today we break that mindset. Today we shut down the sabotaging things that have been sent to sabotage you. Because here's the kicker. Once you become clear on the path that is necessary to get you from where you are to where you desire to be, you will see that it was the idea that you had in your mind about who you were that was keeping you stuck. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what you need in order to become clear, in order to become crystal clear on what to do next. Because your freedom is hanging in the balance. You may be thinking, Shiyterea, I am free. I'm not in prison, right? But here's the thing. When you are allowing your past to dictate your future, when you're allowing your past to say to you what your present is like, it's tainting your perspective. And essentially, that perspective is a place of prison. That perspective that you are holding on to is not allowing you to see the goodness that is available to you. It's not allowing you to give your very best, because if you're anything like me, you haven't really been giving your very best because you feel like it's costing you more than what you're getting back in return. And so today, on today's episode, I'm going to give you the roadmap for how to get clear concerning your past so you can move forward triumphantly into your future. Because if you are honest, if you're honest with me today, if we can be honest, I want you to write honesty in the comments. If you are honest with me today, and if you really took a look at your life, you would see how much your past is ruling you. You'll see how much you're always thinking about how things are happening to you and weighing you down. And it is so easy to slip into the victim mentality when you don't know the signs that it's showing up. See, what is a victim? A victim, there are several definitions for it. And you know what? I'm going to read you these definitions. I'm just grabbing my handy dandy computer and with my laptop. And when I first discovered what a victim was, I was like, wow, who knew that this is what victim meant? And I had been positioned mentally as a victim, not realizing how detrimental it was to me. And so a victim is a person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action. But then there's this definition, and this was the definition that took me out. It says a living creature killed as a religious sacrifice. Now, you might not be religious, you may not be spiritual, and here's the thing, you don't have to be transformed by this video. But one of the things that I believe is that I'm not on this earth by accident, that there's a God who sits on the globe of the earth who designed me and has things for me to do. There is a destination that I'm meant to reach, and it requires certain activities to take place. And I believe that the events that have been orchestrated in my life, either divinely by God, orchestrated in order for me to have the upper hand, oftentimes have been fought by the very enemy of my soul. But the great news is that no matter what obstacle I face, there's a God who says she's going to make it through that. Because he allowed me to experience it, it cannot take me out. I'm going to say that again. Because the God that I serve has allowed me to experience the hard place can't take me out because I have a destination that waits for me. What the victim mentality will tell you is that this is bigger than you. I went through much of my life thinking that my circumstances were bigger than me, forgetting that I serve a God who's bigger than anything that I could ever come up against. And because of what I believe that the God that I serve lives on the inside of me, and that this life that I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God who loved me and gave himself to me. It gave himself for me. I believe that it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. Like, those are my beliefs. But if I really believe it, then I live like I did. So I would make decisions based on that particular perspective. And what the victim mentality does is it robs you of the assurance that says that this situation isn't bigger than you, because there is no situation bigger than Jesus Christ. There is no situation bigger than the God who created heaven and earth, right? And so for a long time, I lived as if my circumstances could defeat me. Now, I don't know what you've been through. You could have been raped. You could have been molested. You could have been forced into having an abortion. You could have had an abortion that you decided on, but yet you realize that that abortion wrecked you. You could have gone through divorce. You could have gone through a number of things. You could have gone through an abusive relationship. No matter what that thing is, I am here today to tell you that you are not a victim of your circumstance. That tormenting, traumatizing thing that happened to you in your past is showing up financially, is showing up relationally, is showing up in how you parent your children. It is showing up in every area of your life. But if you get clear on this, it will change the trajectory of how you live. It will change how you show up. Okay? It will change everything. So you want to make sure that you watch this video until the end, because I am going to help you create this clear path in order for you to profit from your pain. Here's the thing. Your pain will never let you see how profitable it can be when all you are looking at is the place of pain. If you look down, right? If you look down, all you can see is what's there. But if you look forward, you can see what's ahead of you. So if you are so focused on what has pained you, you're not going to have the perspective of what comes next. See, here's the prison that pain puts us in. The prison that pain puts us in, and the picture that it paints for us, is that there's no other place to go. I'm going to say that again. See, the prison that pain puts us in, and the picture that pain paints for us, is that there's no other place to go. But when you believe that you are bigger than what is happening to you, you understand that although this moment might have been significant, although this moment may have been huge and defining, it may have been damaging, it may have been daunting, yet it will not dominate you. See, what the victim mindset says is that you have been dominated. But I'm here to remind you that you were meant to dominate. So whether you have had an abusive boss, a corrupt boss, whether you have had abusive parents, or whether you've been in an abusive relationship, no matter what the circumstances have been, I'm here to tell you that the circumstances do not define you if you decide that there is something more for you. See, when you get this clear path in place, you're going to see how anticipation and how expectation of what is next is going to be a game changer for you. The word of God says that hope deferred makes the heart sick, but when the desire comes, it is a tree of life. When you think that you have been denied access into your future, you are no longer hoping for something bigger than you. You are no longer hoping for a promise. But what you are doing is you are holding on to the devastation and the detrimental experience that you were in. You're allowing that to dominate your perspective. You're allowing that to have such an emotional impact that it weighs you down. But in this season, I need you to know that you are weightier than your circumstance. And what does that mean? Because as a woman, we often don't want to weigh too much, right? I know for me, sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I want the scale to be at a certain marker. Because if it's at a certain marker, then I'm good. But what I've learned is that I need to be weighty spiritually. I need to have a mentality that is so weighty that regardless of what I experience, I won't go under because I'm bigger than what I'm experiencing. And the only way for me to be bigger than what I'm experiencing is I have to know somebody bigger than me. Because I am being fed from a place that's stronger than I am. I'm being directed and led from a place that knows more than I do. I am being taught and groomed and positioned for something better than what I have today because of what I believe. And so I want to challenge you to think about what it is that you are believing. So that is number one. The very first thing that you have to do in order to create this clear path to the next is you have to identify what it is that you believe about the circumstance that you are in. I got divorced, and it was a very painful thing for me because when I got married to be married, period. And I never thought that this marriage that I desired, this husband that I wanted, this family that I saw myself with, I never saw it being dissolved. And so when it was dissolved, that was heartbreaking for me because I didn't just lose my husband, but I lost my two children because on the day that I said I do, I got gifted these two beautiful children. And so when divorce hit my home, it hit like a wrecking ball and it broke my heart. I was utterly crushed. I was absolutely crushed that what I had prayed for and what I had fasted concerning did not look like it was going to come to pass. And I was frustrated by realizing that the child that my ex-husband and I had would not grow up in a home with two parents. I was absolutely devastated because I believe that a child needs two parents, that they need both parents in the home because a father brings strength and a mother brings nourishment. She brings this nurturing aspect to it. And so here I am feeling defeated because this is not what I wanted. But I had a decision to make. I got to decide what I would do from that moment forward. Would I allow the weight of what I thought divorce meant for me to take me out? Or would I allow the wisdom of God to lead me into victory? Would I allow the weight of the despair that I felt, of the heaviness that was on me to dominate me? Or would I decide that I needed a new direction? Right? So I had some choices to make. No matter what you're facing, you might not have faced divorce like I faced divorce, but there are some challenges that you have faced that you have to become very clear on. You have to acknowledge what you believe about that particular situation. And so, number one, you have to know what you believe about what's going on around you. So, I believe that even though I was experiencing hardship, the hardship couldn't crush me. So because I believed that even though I was experiencing hardship, that the hardship couldn't crush me, it changed how I showed up in the moment. Because mind you, even though my ex-husband and I are divorced, we now have this child. And so this means that I'm still going to be engaging with him. I'm still going to be interacting with him. I'm still going to be somehow connected to him because we have a beautiful child together. And so my perspective on my situation was going to impact how I engaged with him. How I saw where I was would impact how I taught my daughter to relate with her father. The great news is I did not see the divorce as something that could dominate me. Was it devastating? Absolutely. Did I desire to be divorced? Absolutely not. But did I understand that that obstacle that I faced could not defeat me? I did. And so in every interaction with my ex-husband, I was very clear that I was not dominated nor defined by divorce, even though it was a pivotal moment in my life. What do you believe about the hardships that you have experienced? And not even just the hardships, even the good things that have happened in your life. What do you believe about them? Because sometimes we just believe that the good things that we experience would have happened to anyone. We don't think that we are blessed in the experiences that we have, and so we don't treat them as blessings. We just treat them as something that would have happened anyway. But in this season, as you are getting a clear path into the next, you have to begin to appreciate the blessings and how they show up, because they're not always going to show up how you think that they should show up. They're not always going to meet you the way you think that they should meet you. And you have to be okay with that. One of the ways that you are going to step out of the victim mentality is being okay with not controlling everything. I did not know that I had a control issue. I mean, I wanted things how I wanted them, in the way that I wanted them, when I wanted them, that way. But what divorce helped me to see was that I controlled me. I'm going to say that again. Divorce helped me to see that the only person that I could ever control was me. I needed to control how I responded to my ex-husband in every interaction. It didn't matter what he did, what he said, what he didn't do, what he did not say. I had to control me. And in deciding that I was going to make the best decision I could in the moment, it required me to look inside of me. It required me to examine how I thought about everything. So you've got to look at what you believe, and then you have to examine the thought patterns that you have in connection to the beliefs that you are carrying. Because you're valuing something that's associated with it. And so when I unpacked what I valued, when I unpacked what was important to me, it shifted and changed how I handled things. Because divorce brings a lot of undesirable things. At least for me, it brought a lot of undesirable things. I can't speak for everybody's divorce. Some people, I don't know. Everybody's divorce is going to be different. But what I'm saying is it brought a lot of undesirable emotions, and I had to understand what was associated with those emotions. I could not keep going back to the promises that my ex-husband made me, because it would stunt my growth. It would stop me from progressing. See, so often what we do in the place of victimhood is we keep going backwards instead of going forward. I needed my next. I needed to believe that there was some place more beautiful than I was currently, because divorce was dark. Divorce was not beautiful, but I believe that there was something greater for me on the other side of what I was experiencing. And so I got clear on the blessing that the divorce brought to me. Now let me be clear, because you're creating this path. Number one, you have to identify the beliefs you have. Number two, you have to identify the blessings of the experience, right? Now, I'm not saying that what happened to me was a blessing, but there are blessings that come out of that experience. And here are some blessings that came out of the experience of my divorce. I saw, number one, how I could show up better as a wife, because I will be remarried, right? So I found out how I could show up better as a wife. I found out how I could show up better as a mother. I found out how I could show up better financially in all of the relationships that I have. I found out how I could show up better, because it takes two in any relationship in order to see it succeed. And so I was able to take the time to see how blessed I was for the data that I was able to collect. And a lot of times when we have poor experiences, we don't use the data that we got from that place. But if I'm going to go through it, I am going to use the data to dominate. What the victim mindset says is you can't use that data. But what the mindset of a powerful woman says is that I've been positioned to collect this data so I could profit in the future. See, there is a situation that you have gone through and you have grown through that you have forgotten to collect the data from, because the data is going to allow you to do better next time. One thing that I have had to learn and grow into is that I'm not going to be great at everything the very first time that I do it. But as long as I am willing to be observant enough, then I can win at anything that I do. Even if I don't take home the gold medal the first time I do it. There's some data that I've collected that has called me to be positioned to profit. So one, you have got to see what you believe. Two, you need to be made aware of your blessings. And three, you need to stop being biased of the experience, because there are two sides to everything. And so one of the things that I learned to appreciate from my divorce is that I see my husband as honorable, or my ex-husband as honorable in the decisions that he made, because he had a set of core beliefs that he believed. And because relationally we no longer worked based on his beliefs, he had to remove himself in order for him to still align with the beliefs that he had. So my relationship dissolved because of religious differences. And so when we first got together, we were Christians. Along the way, my husband decided to enter into a different religious landscape. And so based off of that new religious landscape, it says that, hey, the two of us are no longer equally yoked. And so he decided that because where we were at no longer aligned with what he believed, he needed to remove himself. And I had to see that that was honorable, because he believed something so strongly that he decided to remove himself in order for the situation not to get destructive, right? So I had to see, you know what? Even though I don't agree with the decision he made, it was an honorable decision. And I can appreciate him being honest with me in that perspective, him being honest with me and making the decision to remove himself so that he could, one, become the best version of himself, but two, so I could become the best version of myself, right? And so I could no longer be biased in the situation, but I had to take a look at both perspectives. So you're going to examine your beliefs. You're going to see where you are blessed, and you're going to identify any biases that you have. Now, you might not have any biases along the way, but I'm saying in order for you to get the clear path, you have to readily identify any place and any space where you have been biased, right? And after you do that, you have to determine what next looks like for you. I had to decide, like, do I see a future for me beyond this moment? I had to be willing to dream. So number 4, your last step to creating this clear path is the beyond. Like, you have to be willing to look beyond your present moment into the future. And that meant a lot of things for me. That meant I had to make sure that I was communicating with the God that I serve, being clear on what he called me to, being clear that he made me for something more than this miserable moment, and being clear that there was more than the momentary discomfort that I was experiencing. There is more than the momentary discomfort that you are feeling. There is more. But if you don't go through the steps, you will be in mourning perpetually. And I didn't want to mourn for the rest of my life. I wanted to gain momentum and become the best version of myself. And so that required me to push past what I was feeling emotionally in the moment and say, there is a yet to come. There's a next that is available. So as you are creating this clear path, you have to see what you desire. Do you desire to be stuck in the past more than you desire to see your tomorrow, more than you desire to look in the beyond? Because what I discovered was I didn't want to mourn anymore. I didn't want to be in the place of discomfort. I didn't want any of that anymore. But I wanted what was already available to me if I said yes. Listen, I don't know what you've been through. I don't know the weight of the burden that you have carried, but I know one thing, that it does not have to define you, and you don't have to die in that moment. Because we can physically still be walking this earth, but yet we are just merely existing because we're not participating in this life that we're living. And so I didn't want to just be walking around like a zombie. I just didn't want that. I wanted more. I wanted to show up differently for my daughter. I wanted to show her that hard things don't have to take you out. And so divorce didn't take me out. Divorce does not have to take you out. The hard things that you experience don't have to take you out, but they can position you to dominate. Listen, I pray that this video blesses you, that you go and you do the steps that have been laid out in this video. Go rewatch it, share it with somebody, and then come back next week for more videos. I will see you in another video.